Hey everyone, I'm Ari and welcome to my mukbang. So today, my initial plan for this video was to go with japchae. I figured that there was a lot of history behind japchae, between it evolving from a standard vegetable dish into a noodle dish in the modern century, and I figured it would be something that would be really enjoyed in my apartment. But things did not go as planned. Basically, as I was cooking the japchae, what ended up happening was once I finished recording and I stopped recording it, I received an error message and showed that it did not record any of my cooking. So all the evidence I have of me cooking the japchae, of me prepping it, of me doing literally all of the steps in making it has now been lost in the field of whatever technology has cursed us with. So I had to go back to the basics. I had to go back to the Korean market and ask, what can I cook that could possibly be a good dish for people, for one, to record, and two, something easy and fast to make. And the ajumma did end up giving me tteokbokki. And I decided that I'm going to make tteokbokki for everybody, and I hope you enjoy the video. Thank you so much.
So, we're actually going to go over the history of tteokbokki first. Tteokbokki actually has a very short history. Some sources claim that tteokbokki was first introduced in the late Joseon dynasty, and initially it didn't have its signature spicy look, with some saying it was relatively plain, and others noting it was simply rice cakes, vegetables, and soy sauce. However, rice wasn't a very plentiful resource, partially due to the Japanese occupation, and after the Korean War, South Korea had strict mandates on how much rice was to be put into different people's meals, as it wasn't a very accessible food product. So a lot of the time, even if someone did have rice, only a percentage of it could be actually rice. It had to be incorporated with different types of grains, like barley. So when South Korea had its time when the U.S. was occupying it, the U.S. was importing wheat flour, and as wheat flour was a lot cheaper and a lot more plentiful, a lot of recipes started taking what was initially rice and turning it into a wheat-based product. So when we look at the package that says what the tteokbokki is, it's going to say wheat rice cakes as opposed to a simple tok, which is rice cakes. Today, rice cakes and tteokbokki are actually very common street foods in South Korea, oftentimes being seen in marketplaces or just along the street as you're walking home from work or you're walking home from school. And it's widely enjoyed amongst Korean people. Oftentimes you'll see tteokbokki with cheese on top. It'll be mixed with ramyun. It'll be rapokki, which is a combination of tteokbokki and ramyun. Or it's just served as a standard tteokbokki with the spicy red sauce. At this point, the tteokbokki was looking a little boring, so I decided to add 2 eggs, scramble them up in a separate pan, and cook them through completely to add in with the tteokbokki. Then I decided that wasn't enough either because I am too dramatic for my own good. So I decided to cut up some green onion and mix it in with the egg and the tteokbokki and then garnish it with sesame seeds.
Stop recording that. Finally have our finished tteokbokki. Basically, tteokbokki is rice cakes in a spicy sauce, and never had this before, but we're gonna try it now. I'm trying to get it with some of the scallion in here. This is really good. It's not that spicy. Most of the spice is kicking in the back of the throat, which I think might be due to the gochujang. It's very, very chewy. I didn't expect rice cakes to be as chewy as it is, because we don't really have rice cakes where I'm from. But this is really, really good. I think the egg and the scallions really help mellow out some of the spice. Because initially I was going to put absolutely nothing on here except for the sesame. But with the addition of the scallions and the egg, it really helps elevate some of the flavor. Now what you can also do with tteokbokki is you can add cheese onto it. However, I didn't want to do that. But it's an option, has really cool pull if you use fresh mozzarella. It's a really popular option. The way I made it is just one way one way to do it. There are multiple ways to. You can put cheese on it. You can add the tteokbokki in with ramen. They call it rapokki. You can do it without the gochujang at all, and you can make it a simple savory dish rather than a spicy dish. There's a lot of variation you can do with the tteokbokki, but it's very, very good. I would highly recommend having this with fish cake soup. Because the fish cake soup will help mellow out some of those spices. And try and cut up some of this fish cake in here. Now the brand that I got does include fish cakes packages like we saw with the cooking in with tteokbokki. So I'm going to try a little bit of the fish cake with the tteokbokki. We're gonna wrap it up. Got a little egg in there. Little egg action. We're gonna fish cake is a really good addition to the dish. And I am glad that they added the fish cake in with tteokbokki as an extra protein to put in. I just included eggs because I like eggs. And this is too spicy in terms of really spicy Korean dishes. If you've seen like the fire noodle challenge, it's definitely not to that level. The heat does kick up towards the back of the mouth, like right about here. So when you're initially eating it, you don't really feel it, but towards the back of the throat, you do get a little bit of the kick. 너무 맛있어요. I'm already getting full, guys. Like, this is very, very filling. I think because it's the rice cake, how dense it is, I feel like I'm already getting full just from the small amount that I've had so far. Which might be a good reason as to why it was a very popular street snack in South Korea. From what I understand, you can go to basically any street, any market, and they will be selling tteokbokki on the side. It's a very popular dish. Some people get it after they get out of school or cram school, and they just pick it up on the way home. Some get it on their way home, like when they're at the markets, and they just want to grab something before they go out and hit the stalls. Overall, guys, I would highly recommend this dish if you have a Korean market at or around near you, or even Amazon. They do sell tteokbokki over Amazon and other grocery store apps. Try and get it. It's definitely not that hard to make. There is some conversion that you're going to have to do with this recipe if you're in America, because we don't follow the metric system in this place. So you're going to have to, so there is going to be a little bit of converging in how much you're going to need in terms of water, because the rice cake will absorb quite a bit of water. So you're going to have to keep a close eye on how much water you're going to be using. But this is a very good dish. I would highly recommend people try it. And thank you so much for watching. That's all the time we have for today. Bye bye.